I forgot. This is the reason why I wrote the words Nord Stream 2 pipeline into Germany. I forgot why. I wrote that to remind myself why this is so important and so hypocritical at the same time. You see, was it the first or the seventh day in office by this Joe Biden guy? He canceled the, the Keystone XL pipeline? He canceled it. See, the good thing about a pipeline that leads from the oil source to the country that's going to be using the oil, refining it, is that it doesn't go in a tanker. You see, if it goes in a tanker and it travels all the way from Arabia to here, it can burst open and spill and kill all the wildlife, or really be bad for the wildlife, and you waste all that oil. And what's wrong? Oh yeah, and there's like wars in the Middle East. You're not going to get the oil. And since the whole world runs on fossil fuel, everything is going to stop. I mean, it's going to be kind of like Little House on the Prairie, and something like that, or cavemen or something like that. But the world is going to stop. You know what I found out? I found out that all this oil is from plant life that died millions of years ago. And when plants absorb carbon and exhale oxygen so we can breathe. So it's really important to actually have carbon in the atmosphere. That way the plants can breathe, and then we can breathe. All animal life can breathe. But you see, it's letting out the carbon that was taken in from this, that these plant life took in. But because it's exhaling it now into the atmosphere, the world is more green. Why is the world more green? Because the plants have more carbon to breathe. Because everything in this world is made out of carbon. We're carbon-based life forms. Everything. Blame that exploding star, and the stardust from that exploding star was carbon. And that's where life sprung up. So it's not anything to be afraid of, actually. And since we're still in an ice age, we are warming. And then, you see, they don't tell us this. They used to tell us this. Everything is going to melt. And they're going to say, see, we're right. But they're lying to you about the reason why it's going to melt is because we had a mini ice age 500 years ago, and we're still warming from it. And during the time of the dinosaurs, which is 250 million years, there was no ice at all on the planet. A lot of vegetation. So the herbivores got really big because they had a lot to eat. And then the carnivores got really big because they had a lot to eat. But you see, cooling the planet, where I live, we get a couple hot days, then we get some cold, lots of cold. If it gets any colder, and if Gates sprays the clouds, and it gets colder, you can't grow food. And we're going to have to use something to heat our homes, or you just lessen the amount of people there are on Earth. But anyway, that's the reason why that he canceled the pipeline, is because this idea of carbon, people kind of misunderstand the whole fossil fuel thing. So he canceled it because he wants to make the people who are against climate change and global warming and say that there's too much carbon in the air and things are really changing. Well, they're going to change as we move out of the ice age. You just gotta live with it. Otherwise, go to another planet. But Putin, who is the bad guy, he's allowing Biden and all these, just like the OK China, to build coal-fired power plants one every 5 days. All the countries are allowing, because they need oil, they need fuel, this pipeline, Nord Stream 2 pipeline into Germany. See, Joe Biden canceled our pipeline, which is going to save a lot of marine life. And we won't have to go to war in the Middle East to get the oil, because we're going to get the oil, because these windmills and solar panels break down very quickly, are creating a lot of waste, and sucking a lot of birds, burn them out of the sky, and there's no way to recycle them. See, these people who love the planet don't realize it's just a lot of trash, and you're covering the wildlife and you're killing wildlife, because they've got no place to live now with all the windmills and all the solar panels. Take a look at them. Like, they break down really quickly. Okay, so he allowed that, but he killed 10,000 jobs, American jobs. And he's killing much more than 10,000 American jobs in America because of that. It makes no sense. If you actually care about the planet, you would be for the Keystone pipeline. Totally for it if you really do care. And you realize that to create the windmills and solar panels, you have to use fossil fuel because they don't create enough energy. And they're intermittent, so electric companies have to jack up the electricity all day long every time it stops, which uses up more fossil fuel. So technically, because of your virtue signaling, we're using up more fossil fuels. We need even more because of these solar panels and the windmills, which need fossil fuels to make them. And to use them, you have to use more fossil fuels. And you're killing the wildlife and nature. God, I wish John Denver was still alive. He would be so pissed to look out at the wilderness and the deserts and the oceans, all filled with solar panels and windmills that break down, and the windmills got the eye of Sauron. He'd be so pissed if he were alive. But anyway, isn't that kind of hypocritical? Let's be honest, it's kind of hypocritical to shut that pipeline down and allow this Putin guy, who is kind of like Darth Vader and Sauron, you know, all the bad people you could possibly think of in every fantasy novel. That was Putin. But now we're letting him have this pipeline. Putin doesn't care about climate change. Putin isn't doing a thing. He's also one of the countries, like China, who's buying land all over the world and creating more coal-fired power plants. They're not going by this, but you're going to keep taxing us and making us feel guilty when under Trump we had the lowest carbon emissions than any country in the world. How much can you persecute us when we're not polluting, we're not having poisons run off from factories into the water, and we're not putting plastics in the ocean like China is? It's all China, these plastic islands. 6 rivers in China, 2 rivers in Africa, and China's buying up Africa, but that's still Chinese power plants. But God, we love President Xi, and it was his birthday a couple days ago, so happy birthday, President Xi. We just love you. You're great, and you're handsome too. And I love the fact, you know what? 2 good things about China. Panda bears. Can't get enough of panda videos. And the fact that he outlawed feminism. He took one look at Americans, the pussy ass, and saw how feminism is destroying this country. And it's totally dividing us. This whole thing, we're all dividing, all this stuff. He needs a united China because all these countries need to be united. Because when they go to war on the world, you know, they can just walk into America and take it over because we're divided. Wake up. Wake up before it's too late. In fact, it is too late, but wake up. And let's all hold hands and be like the, it's a small world after all, right? You know, melanin and gender is dividing us. How ridiculous. We're all human beings. We're all human beings. You know, and as long as we can mate with each other, we're all the human race. We're all the same race. You know who told me that? A Democrat. A Democrat who hates Trump. So you can believe it. You can believe it.